Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to Time Well Spent. We are going to be talking about organizing your your time in your workspace. But before we get started, I'm going to be using a tool called Mentimeter today. So if you want to pull out your phone or your tablet, and you can just scan this QR code, or you can go to menti.com and put in this just 6-digit or 8-digit code. Sorry, can't count today, evidently. Put in this 8-digit code, then you'll be ready to do some interactive tools with us as we move along through this process. But I am Mindy McCulley. I am the Extension Specialist for Instructional Support with Family and Consumer Sciences Extension at the University of Kentucky. I have been in this role for a little over 7 years. And before that, I was an Extension Specialist. I'm an extension agent in Barron County, which is in Southeast Kentucky, down in Glasgow. So if any of you are familiar with the southeast part of the state, or the south central part of the state, I said southeast, southwest, down near Bowling Green, it's where I spent a lot of my life and raised my children. So, time well spent. Organizing your time and workspace is something that is important for all of us. We know that if we have an organized workspace, we are not only going to improve our job performance, but we're also going to enhance our overall well-being. And hopefully we will decrease our stress levels, and we will definitely boost our productivity. So today we hope to examine methods of organization that will improve both our time and our workspace, and improve our personal and professional productivity. We're going to compare aspects of a productive workspace and those of non-productive workspaces. We're going to describe techniques that maximize time, and then we're going to apply organizational concepts for enhanced productivity. For some reason, I am really tongue-tied for this morning. We'll try to improve that as we move along. Benjamin Franklin said that for every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned. And I don't know about you all, but I can always accept that extra hour if I can be a little bit more organized in my space. So the first thing that we really need to do is get rid of clutter. And I know that my physical space can always use a dose of clutter reduction. So if it is, clutter is something that you might have to deal with, we can all find that clutter is something that might be challenging our ability to be productive. Sometimes clutter reflects our state of mind. And I often, when I was a county agent, I had a sign on my desk that said, a clean desk is a sign of an empty mind, because I seem to always have piles and piles of things on my desk. And so maybe that was a little tongue-in-cheek, because if you all know anything about a county agent's job, we had 10,000 things going at a time. And so keeping that desk clean was probably not the highest priority that I had. But my staff assistants worked very hard to try to keep me organized. And so I always joked that, I had piles that were piling up, but I always knew where everything was. And if somebody asked for something, I could go to it, in a second, and pull it out. But that was not the most efficient use of my space. And I have really worked hard to be better, to make sure that I am not that person anymore. First of all, on campus, we don't have as much space as we had in the county office. My office on campus, when I came to campus, was the same size office, except that I shared it with 3 people. In the county office, I was all by myself in the same size office. And I had a closet. And so I had to learn to make do in a lot smaller space. And so I had to be a lot more organized in my space. So where is an area of in your home or in your workplace that you find that is especially prone to clutter? And you're welcome to unmute yourself, or you can type in chat if you want to. Where do you find a place that is especially prone to clutter? And how does that clutter make you feel? The chair right when you walk in the door. Yes, indeed. Kitchen table. Kitchen counters make you crazy. Okay, yes. The center of the dining room table, kitchen table. We have a table right at our front door, and it seems like that's where everything collects. The couch collects the laundry, dining room, home office desk. Okay. My cubby and my coffee table with shelves, closets. Yes, all of these places. These are places that we tend to find, things just pile up, don't they? And that clutter can really be a cause of stress, or it can be a result of stress. You may feel that you're too busy to tidy up, or it can be that stress that maximizes the amount of space you have available to work. Clutter makes it difficult to find what you need when you need it. And taking steps to keep your workspace organized can actually improve your performance and your productivity. So if you can find something to do to organize that flat space, then you might find that you're just more productive. So yes, Hans, I hear you. So our first task, of course, is to organize those spaces and get rid of that clutter. And then we want to soothe our senses. So if we think about our 5 senses and how we can use sight and sound and taste and touch to organize, or to really use our senses to make us feel more in tune and feel more relaxed, and we can enhance our energy, then we're going to engage those senses and help us focus. So we're going to use our first little activity here. So let's think about how sight might affect our work environment. And you can use your reactions on either on Mentimeter or on your screen. But how many of you have adjusted your screen on your computer to be more convenient for how you sit or how you see? Maybe you've moved it to a site that is more has more light. Have any of you all done anything like that? So I see some reactions there. Just changing where you sit can really change how productive you might be. I used to have my back to the window, and when the pandemic hit and we all of a sudden went to so much virtual presentations, that made me look like I was a shadow all of the time. And so by having my face to the window, then I was lit, and my face was lit up a whole lot better. Make sure that you don't have a whole lot of personal items around your space, but if you do have something personal, make sure it's something that gives you joy. So on the screen you see, on my bookshelf, I have a picture of my granddaughter, and that picture gives me joy. Anytime I need a little pick-me-up, I look at Eleanor and it makes me smile. And anybody who comes in my office and sees that picture of Eleanor usually smiles too, because she just has so much joy exuding from her face that who wouldn't smile at that, right? And so, don't have a whole lot of clutter, don't have a whole lot of personal items, but make sure that those items that you do have do bring you joy. So think about those things when you're choosing those items of sight. All right. So now on your next thing, and if you didn't get the code to begin with, you can still go to menti.com and put in that code 69561912. But think about sounds that could soothe your workspace. And you can type them in right there, right on that, on your phone. And we should have a word cloud pop up as you all are typing those in, hopefully. There we go, birds, a crackling candle, soft music, just quiet. Some people just want the quiet. Calming music, soft music, silence, soft music sometimes. So we have to think about, especially in our workplaces, what our protocol might allow. You know, we can't probably have, you know, headbanging music. That might not be appropriate for our workspace. But if you work in a home office, then it might be okay to have that headbanging music if that's what you work best to. But if you work in a shared space, or if you work in an office, or you know, here on campus, then maybe something soft that's not going to be a problem for everybody else. But you know, maybe some white noise. Lots of people like to have some white noise, you know, playing just, you know, at their desk. The wind, just hearing the wind, hearing nature, you know, having open windows and that sort of thing could be something that is useful. All right, let's go to the next one. So what about taste? Do you work better with a cup of coffee or tea? Maybe you keep a bottle of water on your desk, or a bowl of hard candy. Maybe when people come in to visit you, they like to have, you know, pick up a peppermint or a butterscotch, or maybe even a Hershey Kiss or something, because they know that you've got something in there to enjoy. But having that taste, and maybe that helps you work better. And do we think about touch? Do we think about where we're sitting, or if we have to stand a lot, if we have comfortable shoes on? What about the temperature of the room? Does that make a difference in how we work? I know when I'm freezing, I do not work well. I have to be able to, you know, be comfortable. So I might, you know, keep a Afghan on the back of my on the back of my chair, so that if I need to get a little bit warm, you know, I can put it on my lap if I need to. You know, a chair that has arm supports that you can adjust, or if you can need a wrist support for where your computer goes. Corinne says being too warm makes her sleepy. So being able to adjust that temperature or open a window or whatever to cool her off, that's important as well. So yes, being able to make adjustments to temperature is so important. So we have to think about touch and that sort of thing. Thinking about smells, you know, smells are you know, evoke many emotions for us. But have you thought about, so this one is one that you can actually slide on your screen, but do you think that candles are important or not important? Air fresheners, all those sorts of things. Where do you think that these fall in enhancing your work environment? And so lots of you think that candles are important, maybe air fresheners, air purifiers are there, open windows. You know, some of our offices on campus don't have windows that open. We have a lot of those in our building in Erickson Hall. They, I don't know if it's just because the building is so old that the windows just don't open. And so having the ability to open would make some people really, really happy. So, you know, you never know what might be important to some people. So all of these are things that you might want to think about, you know, ways that you can enhance your workspace. You should have gotten a handout that you can brainstorm on your own about how you can improve your own workspace and with each of these 5 senses, and how you can improve the work that you do. You can become more productive by engaging those senses. So next, let's think about our files and paperwork. And these can be digital files or actual hard paper files. But if we think about organizing our files in 3 ways. First of all, those files that we use on a regular basis, we think of as working files. And Hans asked if the handouts are available. Jamie, were they sent out to everyone?
I was going to send them out after the presentation.
Okay, so they'll be sent out after the presentation. Okay, so yes, you'll have handouts that include a publication and then a couple of activities. And I think maybe even the PowerPoint presentation as well. So you all should have everything. But files and paperwork, those files that you use on a regular basis, we call the working files, and I would keep those closest to you, something that you can get to quickly without a whole lot of time, because research tells us that we spend about an hour and a half every day looking for stuff. And so if we can cut down on the amount of time that we spend looking for stuff, think how much more productive we can be. So if we have those working files, those files that we use on a regular amount, regular basis, keep those working files close at hand. And then think about files, reference files, things that we need to look at on occasion, but maybe we don't use every day. So put those in a place that you can access easily, but you don't need to touch every day. And so those are your reference files. And then our archival files are those files that we need to have, we have to keep them, but we don't need them on a regular basis. And so whether it's a hard copy file or a digital file, we put those, it doesn't need to be on our desktop if it's a digital file. It doesn't need to even maybe be, at the top of our digital tree. It just needs to be in a place that it's there when, our boss comes and says, once a year, I need you to get to this. And so those are the archival files. And that way they're not cluttering up our desktop or cluttering up other things that are our physical desktop as well. And then, of course, we can tidy up technology. How many of you have screens and screens of apps on your telephone? And you can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself if you want. But does anybody have screens and screens of apps on your telephone? Yes, I'm seeing some hands. Yes. And how many of your phones give you the opportunity or the ability to get rid of apps you don't use on a regular basis? Do you all see that? Do you have that ability from your phone or from your provider? Mine does, and I take advantage when it says you haven't used this app in 30 days. Then I say, well, then get rid of it, because I don't need to see it, because obviously it's not something that's important to me. Now, my husband goes and gets rid of apps all the time. And I'm like, I want to know that I haven't used it before I get rid of it. So I'm not as willing to get rid of things before I know I haven't used it. But if I haven't used something in 30 days, then I'm probably not going to use it in the next 30 days. And so I'm might be willing to try a new app or try things out. But if it's not something that's working out for me, then I need to get rid of it. I don't want to leave it on that screen so that I have all of these apps that I have to browse through and try to figure out what I have and what I don't have and where it is and why it's not where I expect it to be and all of that good stuff. So I encourage you to tidy up your technology, and that goes the same for your laptop or your desktop or whatever. And if you all are like me, I've been around the block a few times. I don't always know how to do these things on my own, but I'm so thankful for the fact that we do have an IT department that will help me do these things. I also have children who are a little bit more tech savvy than I am. And so they'll help me with these things. And I encourage you to take advantage of those people who have more skills if you don't have them yourself, because they are willing and maybe they'll give you that help that you need. Sometimes, and that's what we really do need to do. And that leads me to my next slide, which is to organize our time. Sometimes we need to outsource. Sometimes we need to find that person who can do something a little bit better than we can and let them do it for us. And so if it's that person who can help you tidy up your technology and they can do it better than you can, then let them do it. How many of you use a grocery pickup service? And y'all can put your hands up or unmute. You know, that's an example of outsourcing. We're busy. It's no joke. It's no surprise that we have become busier and busier as time goes on. And so if you can make your grocery list and let somebody else do that grocery shopping for you, then that is a great way to outsource a service. Maybe you let someone else or ask someone else or pay someone else. You probably don't ask. They probably don't do it for free, but let's pay someone else to mow your yard. You know, there are all kinds of services that people will do for us for a fee. And it's okay. It's okay to not have to do everything ourselves. So outsourcing is a great way to organize our time. Sometimes we need to automate some things. How many of you automate some of your appliances? You know, my dishwasher lets me set it so that it can wash dishes overnight. And I love that service. I think that that's the most wonderful thing, so that it is not washing dishes while I'm trying to do something else. Yes, Alexa is wonderful. We can have Alexa do all kinds of different things for us. Some of us might be a little bit nervous about everything that Alexa knows about us. But yes, you know, having automated services, you know, some of our appliances, some of our bill pay, those sorts of things can certainly be time savers for us. They also can be money savers. You know, I have my thermostat automated at home so that when I get up in the morning, it goes up a little bit. When I leave the house, it turns down a little bit. When I come home, it comes back up a little bit. When I go to bed, it goes down a little bit. So that way I'm saving a little bit of money by not cooling or heating the home when I'm not there. And I'm not overheating or cooling it while I'm sleeping. So, you know, not only am I saving time, but I'm also saving a little money. And who doesn't want to save money in this day and age, right? It's important that whatever we're doing, if we are outsourcing, if we're automating, if we're consolidating, we have to communicate with those around us. So whether it's for our home, if it's family life, we need to communicate with our family that we're doing these things. If it's at work, then we need to make sure that our workmates or our colleagues, if we're supervising people, then maybe those who are in our downline, they need to know what it is that we're doing so that everyone's on the same page. Because we don't want to think that just because we're doing it, everybody's on board. And so we do need to make sure that we recognize that everyone needs to be included in the process. It also just helps us to be more intentional in our desire to do this. And then consolidate or simplify. How many of you like to buy your vegetables already chopped up? Now, this might be something that might cost a little bit more. So back to my previous example of liking to save a little bit of money, but that might be a time saver. So, you know, there are some times that we make concessions to save time, and sometimes we don't. You know, there are lots and lots of situations or examples of things that we could do to consolidate. Do you all have other ideas about ways that you might consolidate? Anybody wants to share in chat or unmute? Meal planning. Yes, thank you. That's the one I was really looking for. Meal planning is a great service for consolidation. You know, some of the meal planning services will do all the work for you. Some will actually just tell you what to do, and they provide the steps to do it, and then you still do the processes. So yeah, meal planning is it. Doing all the errands at one time. Yes, if you have a list of all the things that you need to do, and so you don't make 6 trips, you make 1 trip and do all the errands at one time. That's a great way. Just like the apps, get rid of clothes you haven't worn in years. Definitely. That's a great one. One of my favorite ones is when I'm doing laundry, I like to plan what I'm going to wear for the week. And so when I fold or hang things up, then I hang it up by the way that I'm going to wear it, so that when I go for Monday, I just pull whatever's in the closet for Monday and Tuesday, and that way. So I don't have to think about what I'm putting on for it, you know, every day, and that makes such a time saver for me. Okay. So let's think about routines. So we all have routines, sleep routines, meal routines, or not have routines, exercise routines. We might have the routine of not going to bed at the same time every day, or we might have a routine of going to bed at a regular time. We might always eat dinner at 6 o'clock, or we might have the routine of eating dinner whenever everybody gets home at the same time, you know, whenever everyone's home together. But research tells us that if we can establish a routine so that we have put together a plan so that we are getting ourselves ready for bed, then we're going to sleep better. So, you know, planning about 30 minutes before we're ready to go to bed, before we're ready to fall asleep, then we are going to have a better sleep experience. For some people, this, you know, you might have to take a bath. You might have to make yourself a to-do list. You might have to read a book. You know, some people, actually, most people do better if you put away your screens for about 30 minutes before you go to bed, because the screens, the blue light on the screen tends to affect our sleep ability. And so if we can put away those screens or the electronic devices about 30 minutes before we're ready to go to bed, then we're going to have a better sleep quality. Meal planning can really be beneficial if we can, you know, make a plan at least on the weekends. You know, maybe on Saturday or Sunday, make a plan for what you're going to eat for the rest of the week. Some people will even go to the step of going ahead and preparing those meals on Saturdays and Sundays. So they'll get all the prep steps done so that by the time, you know, Monday or Wednesday, whatever day rolls around, then all they have to do is put the meal together and they're ready to go. Exercise, maybe for some people that might be a dirty word, but if you can just find ways to sneak in a little bit of exercise every day, then maybe it's not such a chore. So I think about, you know, just 10 minutes, you know, if you can just find 10 minutes. And of course, on campus, if you have any meetings that are, you know, across campus, you can sometimes find yourself walking 10 minutes just for a meeting across campus, 10 minutes one way, 10 minutes back. That's easy to do. But if you don't have that benefit or that need to walk across campus. Maybe you can just go walk around the building a couple of times and get a 10-minute break in. Or maybe you can stand up. You know, if you have a Zoom call, I sometimes will find myself standing up in the middle of a Zoom call. I probably will have my camera off so that everybody doesn't see me standing and walking in place, because you know, it's a great time when if I'm not presenting, nobody needs to know what I'm doing, and so I can do that, get some movement in. But the Department of Health and Human Services, of course, recommends that we get 150 to 300 minutes of moderate exercise in each week. So if we can figure out ways to get, you know, those 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, then those will add up, and that's just a great way to do it. So here's another chance for some interaction though. So have you already established any personal routines? And if so, which ones? So just click on the screen and share which ones of those you have established. So sleep routines, it looks like we've got several who have sleep routines, and you can click on all that you've established. It looks like we've got some exercise routines that have been established. We've got a meal routine. That looks good. Sleep and meal. We've had in the chat as well. So yeah, so it looks like those are things that we have established. And that's good. And I encourage you just to think about ways that you can establish those routines in your personal life. And I see those are continuing to change. But now let's think about our professional routines. So with our professional routines, let's think about the 4 Ps. So we have prep routines, production routines, pause routines, and play routines. So the prep routines are those routines that help us prepare for the next day. So they set us up for success. We want to be successful. We want to do well. And they help us be ready when we set off to do the work of the next day. So if you are, before you leave, you know, each evening, if you'll just kind of tidy up your workspace so that when you come in each day, it's fresh and clean and ready to go. I like to have my lunch packed the night before. You know, now if something that's refrigerated, of course, I'll have to pull that out and stick it in my bag before I leave. But I'll pack the lunch the night before so that I don't have to spend a lot of time in the morning trying to pull everything together. I automate my coffee pot so that it starts brewing before I get out of bed in the morning, so that the day is happening, whether, if my alarm goes off a little late or something, or I miss my alarm, the day's still happening and I'll be okay. So I like to get those things going. And as I mentioned, when I'm doing my laundry, I like to organize my closet by what I'm going to wear each day so that I don't have to think about it each morning as I'm moving along. Then our production routines are those things that we do throughout the day to make sure that we are going to be, our output's going to be at its highest level, that we are going to be as productive as we possibly can be. So, if I have a meeting, if I have to go over, we have lots of meetings that are over in the Glut building or over in North. I try to stack 2 or 3 of those in the same time frame so that I'm not running back and forth 3 times, a day over there. Now that's great for my exercise if I were, but I'm being more productive if I could do 2 or 3 meetings in the same place at one time. I like to make sure that I have everything that I need in one place, for a meeting, to make sure that everything is ready to go. Let's see what else. And then we have those pause routines. And I talked a little bit about, if you need to take a break, if you need to get some exercise in, this would be one of those pause routines. So if you need to take a break to walk around the building, plan that in, and sometimes you can even put it on your calendar. Say at 11 o'clock today, I'm going to take a break, and for 10 minutes, I'm going to walk around the building. And that way you are protecting that time, and you know it's going to happen. And it might help you to be more focused if you do that on a regular basis. And then those play routines. And I encourage you to find time to celebrate and rejoice and have time to be fun with your colleagues, because we spend as much time almost with our colleagues as we do with our family. So make sure that you take time to rejoice and have fun and be with them, because that is part of self-care, and that is so important to our well-being. And so I just encourage you to do those things as well. So what professional routines have you already established? So mark those that you have included in your life. Let's see as they pop up. Oh, good. I've got lots of these are going on. Lots of you are thinking about those pause routines and the prep routines. Yeah, they're all, that play one is not as much, but maybe you'll think about that more as you're moving forward. That's good. All right. All right. So the next one, how many of you have ever thought about productivity journaling, or how many of you do any journaling at all? Just, you can raise your hand on your reaction button on Zoom. Have any of you done any journaling? Some of you? Okay. All right. So how many of you have done any productivity journaling? Is that a new concept for you, or is that something you're already doing? Okay, so this must be a new concept. So productivity journaling is just the concept of, and maybe you have thought about it in terms of to-do list, and maybe you've done to-do lists, but it's kind of taking to-do lists. I call it taking a to-do list and putting it on steroids, because you still you make your to-do list sort of. You label each day with your time and your date and your day, and on those tasks that need to be done. So just as you do any other to-do list, you make that to-do list, and then you prioritize each task. So if you have 10 things on your to-do list, you're going to prioritize them by the one that's the most important, and then continue on until you get to the one that's the least has the least importance. And then you're going to use a highlighter and highlight those that are the top 3. And so you'll have this big list, but 3 of them are going to be highlighted. And those are the ones that you have to get done today. And then, just like any other to-do list, you're going to cross things off as you go through. And then those things that you haven't gotten finished or completed today, then you carry over to the next day. And so your journal is going to kind of look like this. And because we want to keep our personal life and our professional life separate, you're going to have 2 journals, one for your personal life and one for your professional life. So you'll see the one here on the left. It's your personal journal. And so you have to do the laundry, you have to go to the dentist, you've got to make lunch for work, walk the dog, watch a new movie, call the bank about a stolen credit card. Obviously, that call the bank about a stolen credit card is the highest priority. The dentist appointment is the second priority. Make lunch for tomorrow is the third priority, and so on and so forth. And then the highlighted ones are call the bank, make lunch, and the dentist appointment. And so those are the things that have to be done today. Excuse me. And then on your professional journal, you'll see check voice mails, emails, submit projects. Y'all can read these. And then once again, they've been prioritized. Submit recent invoice due, submit project paperwork due at 3 p.m., meeting with the boss at 2 p.m. Those are the prioritized, and they've also been highlighted. And so then as you move through those, and those have been marked off, then you can move them on. Any suggestions for 50+ projects? Yeah, that's going to be a fun one, isn't it? You're just going to have to keep marking them off as you move on through. And it's just going to be a challenge. All I can say, it's just going to be a challenge. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to tell you about 50+ projects. Just keep them rolling and marking them off as you move through. I really do appreciate the time that you all have shared with me today. What questions do you have for me other than the 50+ projects? Can you delegate? Certainly you can delegate. And that's sort of the outsourcing. Outsourcing is and delegating are probably two terms that mean the same thing. We love delegating because lots of times somebody else can do better than us what we need to have done. So yes, definitely we can delegate. Yes, definitely accept help when offered. And remember, it's okay to say no when you're asked to do something. If it's not your boss that's asking, or somebody else, if you just simply don't have time to do it, it's okay to say no. Sometimes you just have to protect yourself. What else?